Hey, Lacan, what's going on, bro? Back in a sec. Alright. So we got Rahani versus Greeky. Big boy Warlock on the Babs. So we got a CVB, BVC matchup. That is BVC, BV, not BB, you fucking sickos. So another game on equal footing. Another equally thrilling game on equal footing, guys. So in the bottom corner, we've got Greeky on the blue Celts, hailing from Arabia. And in the top corner, we've got Warlock on the red Babylonians, hailing from the Dominican Republic, but I believe he currently resides in the US at the moment. So he's an American Dominican. So, and down here in the bottom we got Greeky taking his second hunt, Warlock doing the same on his. Warlock's is sort of in a weird position outside of this tree line of his, and he's actually going to opt probably for the back one maybe, just because he's taking all the food there as well. And he's actually opting for a lot of workers on the food, because he's taken the early barracks. So it's interesting, I didn't actually get to watch his worker opening a little bit. I should have watched a little bit closer. Sorry for that, because he's actually forced out this early barracks, which is nice. Babs are in a bit of a would disadvantage other civs in the early game, and he's even got another caravan, so he's got another ox cart. So he's got 2 ox carts and the barracks, and no wood income at the moment, which is interesting but good to see. And we got a barracks here from Greeky, and he's gonna probably look at taking. Yes, he does take another storehouse. So he's on the 2 storehouse barracks opening. Well, storehouse, barracks, storehouse. So that's a nice opening as well from himself. But he possibly could have even forced it out earlier. So he's going to really have to try and hold off with his early spears, because Warlock has already started pushing out with his first. So if you're going to delay this, you're going to put yourself in the position as a Celt player, I believe, where you almost have to play around a 2 barracks opening into your TC. Just because you're already on the back foot. The Babylonians and Greeks and possibly other civs, possibly Egypt, all get faster barracks timings out of little tricks they can do. So for Celt players as well, you've often got to do something yourself the same. Force out a fast barracks and get a lot of early spear pressure. So, well, really anyone sort of can just fucking focus the barracks, you know, they get minimal food, then transition back. So pretty much every civ can do it without even dropping worker production, but you might even need to go without spear production after the first or at the first, depending on how you go about it. Sometimes, I think, if you get a bit unlucky with the hunt position and your workers actually have to travel a little bit longer than normal. But otherwise, yeah, both players took a fairly good hunt, so they're in a good position now. Greeky's actually massed up quicker spears, ultimately, because that 1 second advantage per spear does add up after constant production. And the defender's advantage, because Warlock obviously has 1, 2, 3 spears, still wandering in as well all the time, where Greeky's pretty much here already, and they are the fastest spear like I talked about last matchup, so Greeky does sort of have enough to defend at this point, but Warlock is massing a lot, and he's only taking the ziggurat now. Not even worried about stone, just taking it now as well. So he's just cut the spearman after 8, 9, 10. So that's a really nice spear count from Warlock at this stage, and he's following it up with the loom as well. I think he got house momentarily, but this is a really good play as well. Getting it ASAP, getting a loom at a good time. I think he hasn't got quite enough food. He's actually got his food gathering just to try and force out the second TC. So this is a really interesting rush play for him. He's forced Greeky back. I wonder if they've played earlier tonight. I bet they probably have. Warlock might have run something similar, like a similar sort of 9, 10, 11 sort of spear play out of the barracks. A lot of interesting things you can do in different matchups, just with early spear counts against your opponents, forcing them to get a lot to basically over defend, put yourself in a nice position to actually tech to basically a 2 TC 5 or 6 production facility army faster, and just outright counter them with what the units they had that killed your last army. after you've dealt a bit of economic damage, and it seems to be a really sort of good way to open the game at the moment, just with the way everyone's playing. But I don't know, it's probably just been the way the high levels have always played the game, and all of us plebs are just catching on. So anyway, a lot of gathering being denied here. Greeky having to force back 6 workers, and he's forced back another whole bunch of workers back onto this other hunt from over here originally. Oh no, they might have already, no, they were already over there because that was all gathered. But yeah, so Warlock's actually having to pull back, but Greeky has also managed to get a lot. Try and defend this. He's going to try and take the TC as well. But it is a bit out of the way, so he's obviously trying to defend this gold mine and this wood line, and possibly even the hunts. The aggro hunt. Scary hippo. It's Gloria from Madagascar. That's her name, isn't it? Anyway, like I was saying, Warlock on the other hand has opted for a much more defensive TC position, pretty much right on top of his other gold mine, having to save himself an ox cart as well. It might be silly, but it is actually a small win because it does, cut down on having to invest in that early ox cart as well. Warlock, really, probably shouldn't have even moved in that right on top, because he did tank a little bit more damage than I think he probably should have done, but he's going to get a whole lot of good picks here. Eventually going to wipe out all of this for very little damage, and Greeky only just now getting the second barracks. So it's going to be just in time to defend here, but is he going to have enough? He's got a lot of food, a little bit of wood, but he's not actually queued anything up. There we go, some long swords. He should actually basically just flood his production with the longs more or less, I think. There we go. Must have been waiting to chuck down. There you go, Sacred Grove coming out. Just caught up in macro, micro, macro, micro. Over here we got Rahani. Really interesting, nice mixed comp. The spears are actually better at fighting against infantry than the bearers are, but they're a little bit more expensive, a bit harder on the hip pocket, less tanky under the town center and archer fire, or from the slingers. But the slingers, they're not really going to do a great deal of damage to infantry, but they're going to really shit on the bowmen if they're caught out of position here. But there's not a lot of slingers either, so as long as Rahani can really try and keep them to the back, keep them just outside the range. Might be able to, so you get a couple of, ooh. Lost one of them, and he's lost another spearman, so he's going to have to try and circle all the way around here to actually get any villages. I think these are going to be his closest bet. Greeky, a couple of buildings, that's all houses. Those hunts, these crocs, they're going to do a little bit of damage, not a huge amount, but eventually someone's going to have to clear them out, because both players running back and forth through that corridor, it's going to eventually be, something's going to die to them. They're going to get revenge. Croc attack, it'd be like living here. Croc wandered down the main road one day. Made the paper. Mustn't be too much going on here. That makes the paper. Anyway, it's interesting seeing Warlock actually go for the berries, because, well, his berry gather rate is still worse than his hunt gather rate even with the upgrade, so he might as well go for the hunt, considering that he's playing Babylonian. Babylonian's one of the sieves that, just because you got the ox cart, you can just pretty much outright take every hunt on the map. If your enemy scout runs over it and your opponent doesn't actually really see it, because there's not a building on the map, when they're out of line of sight, they're not going to know if they've missed it while it's been in line of sight. And it's basically the gift from heaven for Babylonian players in the mid-level, because unlike the top level where they're an all-seeing eye Big Brother mode, in the mid-level they're sort of just still playing the game. you know. So it's a really good trick to just fucking avoid the hunt, avoid the berries, and get every fucking hunt on the map. Greeky is actually taking Silver Age, but he's falling a bit behind on score. Warlock's got a lot in the bank right now. He's sort of capped out on the houses at the moment. Yeah, he's housed. Not actually queued any upgrades up at the moment either. So Warlock isn't doing as good of a job at spending just yet, but at the same token, he's not far off being able to take the town center. He needs a bit more wood though. He's got a lot of gold and food in the bank. Maybe he's looking at a unit transition here, so same token, he looks like he might have lost all those units over there, but he's taking a good fight down here, so sorry, I've sort of been not paying a great deal of attention. So yeah, all Rahani's forces there must have been picked off. Meanwhile, in the mid, Greeky lost a little bit here, and over on the top side, with conflict as well, so shit going on all around the map. Warlock got some upgrades in queue now. Greeky sort of caught up a little bit in score, but that may change just as the upgrades pass. There's some lanterns from the Babs player sort of circling around the map, seeing if they can catch anything at the moment and just get a bit of field position. Warlock's opted to go for that berries again. I'm not quite sure why. Again, go for the fucking hunt. You're playing Babylonian, man. It doesn't matter. Just take the fucking hunt. But he's got a really, really good army composition here. He's got a nice couple of slingers in amongst his bowmen just to pick off the enemy slingers. A lot of bowmen just to whittle down all the infantry. Try and trade well with the woads, because the Slinger v Woads isn't really a good trade, whereas at least Bowman v Woads you can sort of kill the Woads on time to save stuff. Bit of a weird rally there, because they're just inside the range. Take a lot of pre-fire. Greeky's going to have to garrison though. That's a lot of workers, and he's going to maybe even kill a couple more here. Good job from Greeky microing them all out. Warlock is going to lose a lot of these Lancers, maybe even all of them by the look of it. From the top side, both players about to have a skirmish. At the bottom side, there's a whole bunch of production facilities being chucked up by Greeky behind this to help try and defend all the workers around here and max out on this population going into the mid game. So both players are doing a fairly good job at macroing right up. So it's saying that Warlock has a lot of villagers here doing absolute fuck all. It's obviously a unionized job site, so holy fuck, look out. Alright, so a couple of villages are going to fall. Meantime, a couple of cavalry of Greekies, who's taken H3 by now. Getting a couple of upgrades himself now too. A couple of cavalry snaking around the back. Going to try and pick some workers up off this stone mine actually. Meanwhile, the Lancers are forcing the Woads back. Not a very healthy trade for the Lancers actually, because there's just enough Woads to really pick them off. So even though the Lancers should really counter the Woads, just the fact that the numbers are so good for the Woads, they can just whittle them down before they lose too many. The cavalry forcing Rahani to constantly try and adjust his position. He wants to get a bit more stone now. Try and throw down some fortresses probably and try and wall up the map. He's already taken this third. Greeky has done the same. So both players in a nice position going into this. They got their army upgrades on point. They've got their town centers. They've got fairly good army and worker counts. But there's big engagement right now. And a lot of Rahani's forward forces have died, but he's got a lot of range here too. So, I mean, sorry, that's Greeky I'm talking about. Rahani in the meantime, yeah, same deal. He's back down to all his range, but a lot of it seems to be quite thinned out, and this is all over the top of his stone gathering. So, if he can hold this, if he can't hold this, he's going to be forced back to try and gather stone elsewhere from the back of the map. And I'm not sure if he's actually scouted the rear stone line. Whereas Greeky, he's just got all this nice spread of archers with the druid in the mix, and there's a couple of slingers in there as well, so it's a nice composition here from Greeky. He's even got the Woads really to help him once he's cut through that meat line of Warlocks, so that was a really nice fight there from both players. I think just the fact that the horsemen are going to be good against the cavalry, though, is probably going to make things stronger for the for Greeky, just in that composition, so to speak. Some more stables being chucked down and another archery range being interrupted here. So Greeky's actually put Warlock in the back foot at this stage. So he's got a lot of upgrades in queue, but he doesn't have any food income. So Greeky, both players actually have very little food in the bank, but a lot of food gatherers. Warlock a little bit down behind on that and trailing in score now, even though he's up in upgrades, I believe. So Greeky's just winning it in terms of army size. He's actually up in 50 population, and he's just about max. He's got, yeah, he's going to be max population once everything pops, more or less. So Warlock, on the other hand, his population is slowly falling, and it doesn't look like he's going to repel Greeky at the moment. He's going to have to do something around the map, or really have to rally some forces and maybe even get some towers up and just try and hunker down. So there's just so much for Greeky in his base at the moment. There, so there's some more upgrades coming out from Greeky as well now too, so he might actually be getting the lead in terms of upgrades. Both players actually sort of opting for different upgrades. Warlock has opted for infantry, attack and defensive. Greeky has actually opted for the ranged ones, and Warlock's taken a fortress now defensively. A good play if he manages to finish it off, but he's not going to be able to, just because Greeky's got so much stuff and has managed to scout it out just the right time. So Warlock, he may be able to repel the forces just near his town centers, but Greeky's going to re-rally after having stopped the fortress being built. So there's a lot of unprotected workers just up behind the army of Greeky. So if he scouts them, I think Warlock's pretty much over now. Warlock's score is constantly slipping now. Greeky is actually banking resources pretty much at the moment. He's just under maxed out. He's, you know, equal in age, equal in upgrades, way up in population at the moment. Warlock, he opened fairly strongly, but it's just not going well for him at the moment. After that last big engagement, Greeky's just managed to push straight to his army and position his army so well on top of all the production facilities, killing everything just as it pops out. So it's really hurting Warlock, and GG.